Steve, I mean, have something to break that you don't care you're going to break. That's what I want to.
Is this something I'm going to use on my channel too now?
Okay.
Yes. This one comes to us from the incomparable journalists at Screenrant. 10 reasons why Wheel of Time Season 2 is more exciting than Season 1. Number 10. Wheel of Time Season 2 needs less lore setup than Season 1. Wheel of Time Season 2 is more intriguing than Season 1 because it will require less fleshing out of the series lore and characters. Talk to me about this.
Sorry, I thought I popped a blood vessel in my brain. Sorry. What? Well, you mean aside from everything they f***ed up and didn't do correctly? Yeah. Or the stuff all the stuff they missed and didn't include?
Wheel of Time Season 1 adequately introduces the most key pieces of lore in the book series.
Adequately?
Well, such as the history of the Dragon Reborn and the breaking of the world.
No. They screwed it up. It's the Dragon Reborn.
Yes.
Reborn, yes. And don't forget, let's aim for adequate. Let's not be good. Let's just be adequate. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
Now, this will free up Season 2 to focus more on developing characters and plot.
Wait a second. What the? Who is? Yeah, okay, yeah, because whenever we write a TV show, that's how we do this, right? Let's f- the characters. We're not gonna develop them at all. Let's just try to develop our shitty lore and do that badly.
That's a condemnation right there, because they're saying that even watching Season 1, they've completely skipped character development, which is what gets you into the story in the first place.
Couple of common complaints about Wheel of Time Season 1 were that the characters were underdeveloped and that the pace of events was too fast, and that extra time to flesh out characters and deepen the plot would have been invaluable. Well, here's the thing. We never actually saw the characters that were from Robert Jordan's series. I don't know who these characters are. I don't know. They stole the wallets of Rand, Matt, and Perrin, and Nynaeve, Moiraine, and Egwene. And now they just made some really boring, plotting, nonsensical, no stakes CW level show. But apparently, because Rafe Judkins in that writer's room, and we talked about it on my live stream, doesn't have to do anything anymore to even vaguely pretend that it is Robert Jordan's work of the Wheel of Time. That's something to be excited about.
Yeah, and to say everything was too fast, I mean, that it wasn't fast, it was just discombobulated and a utter mess.
It was just a disjointed mess, and they
Number 9. Wheel of Time Season 2 will explore more of its world. Again, not the world that Robert Jordan created that spawned a 14, 15 book series, depending on how you look at it. No, the world that Rafe Judkins and writers from the CW network level of shows, as well as Chuck, want you to see. Another appealing aspect of Wheel of Time Season 2 is that we'll explore more of Robert Jordan's vast world. How? You didn't show us any of the story. You didn't show us any of the characters. You skipped over key scenes that you, even if you were pretending this was an adaptation, you didn't went to. But now apparently Season 2, this is a good thing according to Screenrant. Season 2 is expected to journey into the Aiel Waste. We were right, and could include the cities of Carhian and Terror.
They don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, the last article I covered on my thing, they thought Matt was going back to Shatter Logoth. Like, I feel like they're just like throwing darts at a board. Like, it's like you said, like in the writer's room, there's post-it notes. Well, all these people from all these articles have taken those post-it notes and they've started throwing darts at a board and being like, oh, maybe we're going there because they had a post-it note that said that. We sort of suspected that they're going to send Rand to the waste, but what is the point of Rand going to the waste and then coming back to Carheen? There's none. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Well, and
nuts.
to sit there and say you're going to explore more of the world, that's funny as hell from 2 points of view. One, you had the same damn set for Tar-Valon as you had for Shadar Logoth. So that exploration is a joke. And then to sit there and say also that you just because you're going to visit more places in something doesn't mean you've actually experienced a story within those realms. All these little things, oh, well, we go and hit these points here and put push pins on a map means nothing.
It's just lies. They created a narrative in season 1 that the show was Robert Jordan. All of these journalists who not journalists, all of these people who make $4 or $5 writing these trash articles just repeat the press releases that are given to them by studios, whether it's Netflix or Amazon. That's why we're getting all of this weird stuff in all of this reporting. I think it's hysterical. Now, this next sentence is, Wheel of Time Season 1 focused mainly on 2 rivers in Tar-Valon, also featured Barrowland and the infamous Blight, and some of the most beautiful unnamed countryside.
Okay, do you see what I'm talking about? They did not go to Barrowland.
They didn't.
They never stepped foot in Barrowland, so they don't know what the they're talking about. They were never there. So how, like, this is what I'm saying. They don't know what the is happening. They think Shadar Logoth is Tar-Valon. They think we went to Barrowland. It's like, you obviously did not watch the show. Maybe you've read the books because you actually know that they should have gone to Barrowland, but they never went. So what are you talking about?
This article says Tar-Valon will likely feature heavily once again in season
thank
2.
God.
But the story, Steve and Nathan, should extend much further into the massive world from the Wheel of Time.
Why is
book
Tar-Valon
series.
featuring heavily in a Great Hunt TV show?
In an 8-episode block, Tar-Valon should occupy perhaps a half an episode, maybe
of the Great Hunt,
two-thirds to be
Okay, can we explore the world that we should have explored first?
But that means you need to have the characters in place and have the characters be the right age and act the right way and have the actual relationships and go through the actual events and go to the actual places that were in the book. This is a non-adaptation. Let's take a look at number 8. Wheel of Time Season 2 will introduce some of its best new characters, Steve and Nathan.
I have Jesus.
The daughter heir to the throne of Andor, Elaine Trakand, will make her first appearance during Season 2. The Aiel Maiden of the Spear, Avendia, will also make her first appearance Season 2. Elias is also, they say, coming. Other new characters include Shiram Sedai and Child Dane Barnhold. Talk about this. Let's talk about Elaine, Avendia. Let's talk about how these are some of the best new characters.
I don't give a shit about Elaine or Avienda. Okay? Show me the big 3. Show me some shit about Perrin and Matt and Rand. That's all I care about. I don't care about the girl's story. I don't give a. They are there to support the big 3. I don't like and fight me if you want. I don't care. The story is about Rand, Matt, Perrin, the rest. Okay, great. You're introducing more characters. Are they gonna you haven't introduced the first 3? You know, we already know freaking Avienda is gonna be fucking off with Perrin somewhere doing whatever, and so that already proves that it's not Avienda. It's the shade of Avienda. So anything you liked about Avienda isn't gonna be there. Elaine, who knows? Elaine could just walk around holding a lantern and being a flashlight for the other 2 for all we know.
What they're going to do, what they did in Season 1, which is they're not going to give you any character development. They're going to divide the characters up. There's going to be a lot of mouth breathing, crying, and holding each other, and like a lot of wandering with no point to it. That's probably what's going to happen. And these new characters are going to be put in those same situations up. Let's divide up and write a nothing story for each of these groups of characters to fill 8 episodes of television. That's all we're going to get. Go ahead, Nathan.
Those are great points. It doesn't matter what new characters you're going to put in here because we all know that you're just going to destroy them. And Steve's point is even further, poignant because It's about, if you're going to introduce these characters, it's about how their stories support the main three. If they don't support the main three, then you've got nothing to really base those characters into the story for.
Well, they didn't develop the big three, and what they did with the big three was make them look stupid and put them behind Nynaeve and Egwene.
None of the other characters in the series would be in the poignant situations they are without the first three, because the first three are all Taviran. They need to accomplish these things. So the pattern pulled their friends and their close loved ones into them to help them start accomplishing some of this and become important. The people that aren't Taviran, Egwene and Nynaeve, they accomplished a lot on their own, but the beginnings of their journeys completely started because the other three pulled them along with them.
Let's go to number 7. What fresh hell awaits us there? Wheel of Time Season 2 will have more Aiel.
Okay, just go to...
Just the dead one in the cage that Matt wants to steal stuff from. Go ahead.
Gaul's dead. Let's go to 6. It doesn't matter.
Based upon Wheel of Time Season 2 changes that have been released, it seems like a chunk of it will take place in a desert known as the Aiel Waste. This implies that there will be much more Aiel in season 2 than there was in the first season. Am I wrong in saying the only Aiel we got was the flashback to Rand's heavily pregnant mother fighting like a ninja in the Matrix in the snow, and then the dead dude that was hanging in a cage that not Tom was telling not Matt not to steal the dead person stuff?
Yeah, this article is completely stupid, because everything that they've shown, just because it's an arid looking place, all the indications is that they have no idea how to decorate the sets properly and show Falme for what it really is. And what do? Well, they make it as cheap as they can, so they turn it into a desert wasteland. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the Aiel Waste. It just means the people are incompetent in their production.
Well, look at every Disney Star Wars show. Where did they put it? In an effing desert. So here we go. Welcome to everything you hate about Star Wars. Let me do one more sentence. So this article says this is a great reason for excitement because the Aiel are one of the most fascinating cultures created in Jordan's novels. They are, and this is according to Screenrant, Nathan, they are desert dwellers with rigid codes of strange honor and unparalleled fighting skills. Oh, look at this. They also become one of Rand's most formidable allies in the war against the Shadow. I think Judkins is skipping a whole lot of. It's post-it note bullshit he's shoving into this.
So my take on this is, I don't believe a single word. They have no idea what's happening. They have, all this proves is actually Screenrant has no access to this show. Okay, because one, they don't know that Baerlon wasn't in the show. So that means they've read the books and they haven't watched the show, or they have no access to the show. I know these people are stupid. I know they don't know what the hell they're doing. I know they're ignorant. They don't know the source material, and they're trying to shove all this in 2 books. They have handicapped themselves. There is no way, even if you're going to pretend to do the story of the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn together, there is no time to go to the Waste.
No,
there is no time.
This just goes back to what Rafe Judkins said, and I talked about in the videos that I made in my live stream, which is that he creates an emotional journey and then adds details from the post-it notes from the book around that. So we apparently are going to skip a lot of stuff. Nathan, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm with Steve on this one. Just because it's you see the setting you think you read in the books doesn't mean that it's actually going to be there. You can see potentially the unification of the Aiel to him, depending on how they deal with the tier material that they're obviously not going to put in tier, and they're going to move it to Falme, I think. It is absolutely ridiculous how they're treating this this series. It's horrible.
Prophecy leads a lot of what's going on in these next 2 books. Prophecy almost leads Rand to every action that he does in the Dragon Reborn. We've talked about it before, but I actually have a new theory. Falme is desert. We've seen the pictures. Okay, Falme is now in a barren desert, right? I think what they're referring to is him being strapped to the wheel thing, as him being in the waist. I think the Shan-Chan are going to capture Rand instead of Egwene, and they're going to have to save him.
You may be right. Let's go on to 6. There's so many things wrong with this whole thing. Again, this is not an adaptation. I don't take this seriously. There's a great series of books, Hollywood. It's called The Wheel of Time. It was written by Robert Jordan. It would be a great show to adapt using the material that was there. Number 6. You ready for it? Wheel of Time Season 2 introduces the Shan-Chan. After the conclusion of Season 1, we all remember that.
I don't know why they hate little girls building sandcastles and decide to empty a whole ocean on top of her.
If you're going to base your article on the show, the only thing that you know of is that they destroyed little girls with an overzealous tidal wave.
That's all they gave us.
And that they are complete idiots in terms of where they want to beach up on their invasion force as they park their boats across a shoreline that is barred up by an entire cliff face.
It's like the same thing as the Borderlanders doing a horse charge into the back of Tarwin's Gap's
That's
wall.
true. Let's ride our horses into a wall.
It's like let's send an invasion fleet to a cliff face and kill a little girl. So
Number 5, Wheel of Time Seasons 2 book departures make it more unpredictable. And this is the reason I got Prophet of the Dragon out of bed and begged Nathan to come on. I read this and I'm like, you literally have told us you are not adapting the books. You are not doing The Great Hunt, which to me is probably one of the best books in this series. You didn't adapt Eye of the World, but it's exciting because they're just making shit up with characters that are not from the books and not doing what the characters do or telling anything that happened. They're just making shit up with writers from the CW and Halo and the 100 and other things like that. Steve, you have the floor.
Did this fucking article just have the balls to say the show is better than the books? Is that what this, like...
Steve, the silver lining around the Wheel of Time's many book departures is that the story in the show is now more unpredictable.
It's like self-owning. They're dumping all over this production and themselves for liking it with every sentence.
Well, but they're also saying that like it automatically makes the show good because it departs from the books. They don't understand that when they say the silver lining around the Wheel of Time's many book departures is, one, a condemnation on the show, but also a condemnation on them as well, because they see that as a good thing.
Those who have read the books may feel that it lacks loyalty to the source material.
Really?
But if one embraces the changes going into Wheel of Time Season 2, it can be watched as a compliment to the books instead of a straightforward adaptation. I warned you to get stuff to break.
Embrace, because I like the books, embrace the show. I'm required to do that. What a horse statement. I like a ham sandwich. That doesn't mean I'm going to embrace the ham as it's being sliced.
That's right, off the live pig. Here's the thing. We all, and I started this channel by giving my honest takes to what was going on to Season 1, and even warning signs that came out long before the show about aging up the characters, the fractal changes, making this into a CW adolescent love story thing, adding all kinds of crap to this that had nothing to do with it, and fundamentally changing the characters, the story. And once you've done that, it's not an adaptation. So if it's not an adaptation, this article is trying to rationalize why it exists. Because here's the thing, for Screenrant to write an article like this means that overwhelmingly people have rejected this show on the scale of the Rings of Power, which is another failed Amazon fantasy endeavor. What this also means is that all of us were obviously right.
Yep.
The White Cloaks, Steve, Nathan, all of our reviews that we did, again, We are not bigots. We're not isophobes. We're not afraid of strong women. What we don't like is terrible writing with terrible shows that don't tell a story and completely ignore the source material. Now, this article on Screenrant says now it's a compliment. How is this complimentary to what Robert Jordan wrote, except to get people who hated the show, who've watched our videos, to go read the books and go, oh, wow, that's why Corey and Steve and Nathan and Alex and Pips, that's why they like the books.
Well,
Go ahead,
let's even go a step further here. You have an actor on the show, okay, that tried to read the books because she's an actress on the show, and she had to stop because it's so different. She couldn't see them as the same character.
And we've seen this also with the actress on The Last of Us who played the video game, was like, wait a minute, this is not at all the show we're making, and so she stopped. There's a pattern here.
What they should be doing is telling the story, and then the people that have read it are rewarded for seeing what we've read come to life, and the people that are now coming, like the Game of Thrones, right? The Game of Thrones crowd that are coming to the TV show and hadn't read the source material, they're being surprised by things like the Red Wedding because they never saw it before. But the book readers are like, oh, the Red Wedding, I know what's going to happen here. Yes. But they were rewarded because they saw what the hell happened in the book.
So you don't get any of that. So there is no way, in my opinion, demonstratively, that this is a compliment to Robert Jordan's works in any way whatsoever. Because if you believe that what Rafe Judkins did in season 1 somehow warranted a 14-book series, you would wonder what the hell is wrong with all of us for liking it. Watching a series after reading the books can end up being boring when one knows what's about to happen.
Oh, son of a bitch.
This is the same logic they've used in countless shows, whether it be Halo, The Witcher, Willow, obviously the Rings of Power. This is insane. This is an insane amount of copium, even for Screenrant.